everyone, it's Sharona from Mayoral. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Shy Season 3 episode, what's the episode is this? 7, A Stain. Wow. Okay, I'm going to save Ronnie and Keisha for last because we got a lot to digest. I'm happy, baby girl. Baby girl, you back. I'm happy. Not happy it took 7 episodes to get to this point, but I'm happy that we got you, okay? But I need to start with Emmett, okay? So first, in order for me to start talking about Emmett, I'm going to have to talk about Jada. Jada, get your life together. I was so happy to see her and Tomas. They still going hard and strong. They try to get it on and stuff, you know. Then she walk in, and of course, who there? Emmett and Tiffany raggedy behind with the baby. The house looks atrocious, looks an absolute mess. I was just really confused as to why they even still there, okay? I'm just trying to figure out why she let them in the first place. So, Tomas even had to go off on her and be like, you need to stop letting people walk all over you. Like, you let Emmett walk all over you. And I have to agree with Tomas. She felt a certain type of way, but look, like, when your dude care about you, when he love you, he's not going to be okay with no mess like that. No one who cares about you is going to be okay with Emmett using you that way. And so he was like, you need to learn how to put yourself first. Like, this is a problem. So, sorry, my stomach growling, y'all. So Emmett asked her for more time to stay because, of course, he wasn't about to leave at the end of the month. Even Tomas was like, he ain't leaving. Talk about, and then he gonna tell her that he needs to stay there to the end of the year. I was just like, Tiffany, you selling all this weed. Where's your money going? You selling like high price weed. I'm trying to figure out where's your money. Y'all have more than enough money to get paid for rent. I'm just really confused as to what is happening, but like Jada act like she had had her limit. I hope it was enough because I was just like, I don't know why you're letting him live with you like this. It's like she wants to be miserable. It's like she feels like she has to punish herself. So Emmett and Dominique have a meeting, and they basically, he brought his baby, which I was just like, child, at least you watching your kid at this point. I don't know what the heck. But Dominique was not happy about that. But what I thought was hella shady, like, did I miss something? Like, was there an episode that I missed where Sonny lost his restaurant? Because I'm really confused by this. So, basically, Zeke, who's played by Laurel, he is the landlord, and essentially he was like, I don't feel right about giving you guys his lease. And then they sit up here like, well, Sonny don't know what to do. He ain't running this the right way. We understand. I just felt like that was hella grimy for Emmett. Sonny considered you to be like a son to him. And he gave you a job with benefits to take care of all your kids, okay, because he knew about your situation. And this is how you do him? I was just like, wow, like talking about I'm trying to do this for my legacy, and Dominique like, well, I'm just trying to do this for me. And I was like, thank you. Talking about he trying to do this for his legacy. Even Zeke was like, so you thought you bring the kid, that's your legacy? Like, no, it don't work for me. But I was just like, that was hella grimy. I don't know if you guys feel like it's dirty or not, but I was just like, wow, like, you being mad disrespectful right now. That rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, I don't care what happens to Zeke going forward. I don't care what happens to Emmett going forward. But Zeke tells them no. But then later he ends up calling them because he needs them to cater a dinner party, which ends up being Gemma's dad's dinner party that has Otis and Camille there. And so he tells them that he'll pay them $7,000. He goes to see Dominique. And everything ends up being a success. He's talking about, I love bougie black food. And then he was like, I hope it don't give me bougie black diabetes. I said it probably will. So him and Dominique and Emmett, they toast. And then all of a sudden they just start having sex. I was like, let me just be real with y'all. That sex scene was the most awkward sex scene I have ever seen in my life. Like, it just was all over the place. It didn't look right, her with him. I was just like, y'all could have kept that, baby. Y'all could have kept that entire sex scene. I just was not moved by it in any way, shape, or form. Neither one of them seemed like they were actually into it. It just seemed like, oh, we just smashing each other, be smashing each other at this point in time. So I don't know what the heck is going to happen. But the tarot card lady was right. She said that you are never going to be able to satisfy him. And we see that he was already sticking his penis somebody else just a few days later. So that's all that happened with him. I can't wait to see what happens when Tiffany finds out about it. And I hope that she ends up leaving his raggedy behind as well. But can we talk about Kevin for a little bit? Because we can get Yeah, we can talk about Kevin. It's not going to spoil anything, get into what's going on with Keisha this episode. But him and Gemma, they got into it last week's episode because, you know, Gemma overstepped her bounds, telling his business. So I did understand why he would have an issue, but I just felt like he shouldn't have raised his voice talking to her. So he's been giving her a cold shoulder. Jake's sitting up here like, don't talk to her, don't mess with her. And I'm like, you get on my nerves too. But she was waiting for him outside to come talk to him. And then he was like, just leave me alone. And she was like, fine. He was like, oh, fine. Yeah, like, didn't you tell her to leave you alone? And they held hands. Then she asked him to go back to her place. And I said, Jimmy, you better not give it up to this little raggedy dude after he didn't sit up here and been mean to you. So you going to give it up to him in order for him to talk to you? No. I was like, you bet not. And then she was really going to do it. He'll talk about when you ain't got to do anything you don't want to. But weren't you just mad at me 5 seconds ago? But because I'm finna bust it open for you, you okay? I was just like, wow. Like, that bothered me, but I thought it was cute. She's like, it's okay, I'll give you my consent. I thought that was cute. You know, I love when people ask for consent, child. But as soon as they about to get it on, they hear the door close. Her daddy came home. Her daddy come in. She's like, oh, I'm just working on French with Kevin. This dude holding a geometry book, the book upside down. Daddy was like, hey, let me come talk to you real quick. And when he came out and said, was you about to F my daughter? I said, wow. Then she go whisper to him before he left the room, you'll be okay. I said, girl, I don't know if he'll survive this one. He got that phone call about his sister and ran up out of there because it was about to be something. Sorry, I think I got something in my eye, y'all. I apologize. So that's all I wanted to talk about them because I was really bothered that Gemma was really going to give it up to Kevin after he was being mad disrespectful. I just thought it was so, like, rude. But Papa just... I want my kid to be like Papa, okay? I want my child to be like Papa because Papa's just a good person. So Papa brings Maisha some flowers and he was like, hey, you ready to walk to school? And she was like, I can't because my mom lost her job and so I have to sit here and take care of everyone while she goes and finds another job. This eyelash is really doing something to my spirit right now. So he ends up saying like, hey, do you want me to help out or talk to my dad? She was like, no, my mom will be upset. She doesn't really want people knowing about our business. So he ends up, his dad is like walking around. He walks in on him, he walks in on him taking money out of the like collection. And so his daddy was like, what is going on? He's like, go get my Switch. I was like, oh, you finna get it. He was like, no, it's not what it looks like. He tells him the story of what's happening with Maisha. And then he basically says, I love that you have a charitable heart. But when he said what kind of heart you got after he brought up, like, I want you to give the money that Camille gave you to Maisha and her mother. And so I was like, ooh, he really finna beat you. You talking back to him like this. But he wasn't telling no lies. Papa wasn't telling that nan lie to his daddy. And so I thought it was really cool that his dad ends up taking him to Maisha's mom's house and gives her the money. And then I love how you see the reaction from Maisha's mom because you could really tell that money was just a blessing to her. And, you know, it's really helping her out even though she was being, like, prideful and I really wanted to take it from him. So I really thought that was, like, a good look. And I like that Papa called his dad out. His dad was able to recognize like where he had went wrong with the money that he actually took from Camille in the first place and was able to do something good with it. So I was like, you know what? I love Papa so much. His dad is still raggedy, but I was just like, he raised a good son. So we see that Jake's been getting really lippy with Otis. Like, and then it's funny because like at the beginning of the episode, we see Otis is happy because he told Rose that, you know, Camille, he's leading in the polls. Camille dropped in the polls. And then Rose says like, okay, that's fine. Like, you really feeling yourself, but she's not going to give up without a fight. So like, neither should you like be thinking that it's in the bag at this point. So she tells him that she wasn't happy about the commercial that he did against his mother because it could have backfired on him and he should have consulted her. But he was like, oh, we don't have trust. And she was like, just because I was banging some girl for a couple of months. And she said it's so a matter of fact. I was like, okay, Rose. And then he was like, it was my secretary. She was like, and like, I said, I apologize for it. Like, why are you still tripping? And I was just like, wow. Like, clearly it hurt him. But I was just like, she was real with it. Like, what are you mad about? I apologize. Move on from it. So Jake ends up coming downstairs. And he tells them like, hey, I need both of you guys to be at this dinner party with me. You know, there's going to be a lot of donors there. It's like a really big deal. So Jake was like, I ain't no proud. And then he was like, what the F you say to me? It'd be crazy because Otis be so charming. He'd be so nice. And it almost seemed like he kind of low-key soft as far as him being like this big drug dealer. And he has a soft side to him. But the way he just be like spazzing and like at the drop of a dime, I'd be scared all over again. I'd just be so confused. And so he was like, what you gonna do? Hit me? He was like, do something. I was like, wow, he straight punked the heck out of Otis, talking about you wouldn't want me walking around with no black eye. Somebody asked about it. And I was just like, wow, like Reggie, like Jake really just punked you, Otis, like for real, for real. So Rose is telling him that Jake thinks that he killed Reggie. And I was like, where did Rose get this information from? Can y'all let me know in the comment section below? Because sometimes I do be missing stuff. Let me know where I missed the fact that Jake had a conversation with Rose and told Rose that he thinks that Reggie killed him. And so basically, she basically said, like, you know, you might wake up and have a knife at your throat if he finds out what you did. He was like, it ain't nobody's business. And he was like, he ain't that bold anyway. And I was like, I don't know. Jake been pretty bold all episode. You been getting punked the entire time. So they're at the party, and when Gemma's dad asked to speak to both Camille and Otis, Rose is about to go. He was like, hey, I want you to stay with Jake and keep an eye on him. And she was like, so you're not letting me in the meeting? And then when Camille was like, hey, you want me to handle her for you? Because I saw her staring at me. I guess Camille was alluding to the fact that she knows that Rose was banging his secretary and then just trying to get into his head. And so Gemma's dad basically says that there's a tradition where he ends up picking the mayor candidate. You know what I'm trying to say, child. I'm tired and I can't even speak straight. So he basically says he's going to pick one of them. And so he tells them that here's proof that you are splitting the black vote. Okay, so what that's going to happen is the third party is going to come in and they're going to win. So he's telling them one of them has to drop out. And he says that he wants that person to be Camille to drop out. So Camille was like, y'all are not about to Shirley Chisholm me and think because y'all are men and because I'm a woman that we about to be doing all of this. So I'm not dropping out, okay? And I'm going to keep running. I said, you better tell them, Camille, you just crooked as Otis. But I was just like, I thought that was like really disrespectful to choose him over her. I just thought that that was like a bit much. So I was really happy that she told them like what it was and that she wasn't dropping out. I was proud of her. But we got to talk about Ronnie and Keisha. But first, we got to talk about Nina and Dre. Because I had a problem with this whole thing. So Dre's trying to convince Nina that she needs to pack up Keisha's room. And I'm like, so how much time has passed? Because I feel like I ask myself this every episode, how much time has passed? So we finally get a timeline that only 2 months have passed since Keisha went missing. I said, Dre, you really trying to have her pack up Keisha's room after 2 months? You didn't feel like that was a little bit too much? I just felt like Dre was doing the absolute most. And when she said, I feel like you're giving up, I was like, yeah, I feel that way too, Nina. You're very like valid in your feelings right now. So they end up getting into it because she was just like, she basically said like, hey, you need to, like, me and Kevin are still here. Like, you need to be in the present. And so then basically she was just like, nah, you gotta get the heck up out of my house. And then when she was like, and Keisha ain't never liked you anyway, she told her to take your stuff, get out. She picked up the strap-on, she picked up the dildo, she picked up, and she said, you gotta get up out of my house. So then I saw you peeped when she tried to take her ring off and she thought about it. She's like, nah, but you can take this wedding photo. I was like, girl, get the ring back if you about that life. But I felt that Nina was very valid in how she felt. I did feel like Dre was doing a little bit too much and pushing her to do too much too soon. It's ironic that towards the end of the episode, when we find out that Dre is actually a guidance counselor, I was just like, okay, I felt like that's something that we should have known a long time ago. But I felt like Nina was very valid in her feelings. And then when she gets to the hospital and Dre like, God is real, God is good or something, I was like, shut up, Dre, because you was literally trying to tell her to brace for her being dead and stuff just earlier that day. I was like, have several seats talking about God is real. I was side-eyeing Dre the rest of the episode, okay? So, Ronnie's going through a hard time. You know, Miss Ethel died. My homie died, okay? She didn't want no funeral. They did like a little thing at the bar. Gave a speech talking about how she loved him, but she would curse him out too and then tell him to get his life together. I was like, that's definitely Miss Ethel. But his friend wasn't playing when he talked about people be way too long-winded at funerals and stuff like that. But I'm glad that Jada checked him. He gonna try to go talk to Jay like everything all good, like he wasn't just like drunk out of his mind on her doorstep causing issues. And so she had to get him together real quick, like, hey. First of all, we was never together. Let me let you know that. Second, you need to stop drinking. Like, you have a drinking problem. It's not okay for you to have a sip, have a shot, nothing. You need to stop drinking. I really hope that he really does get his life together. And she told him that she wishes him the best. But if you thought you was finna creep your little raggedy behind back up into my life, nope. No, thank you. I was just like, you really be trying it. But we end up finding out that his friends are leaving. They've taken a job in Springfield. They asked him to come, get a job, have a steady paycheck. He tells them no, there's other business that he needs to finish, which is finding Keisha. So he goes back and actually starts checking the houses again by where he went to the guy's house last week's episode. I was like, thank you for coming back to this, because like, oh, but before that though, what was with this like dancing that he was doing? They was dancing to September. I was like, Ronnie, what dance are you doing? I was like, I'm glad you stopped all that dancing and got back to try to find Keisha. So I'm shook about Keisha. Episode opens up. She in the bed naked with the dude. Like, she had sex with him. He raped her. I don't know if he did that. Like, she said she would sleep with him if he would let her call Kevin on his birthday. I don't know what was happening. He goes up to go get some breakfast. She breaks the chair, start beating him with the stick, and then basically he was about to put his hands on her, but instead he was like, I'm gonna grant you grace this one time, but I ain't gonna be so nice the next time. He took all the furniture out, only left the bed. She's handcuffed to the bed at this point. I was just like, oh my goodness, what is going to happen? We see her tie a noose up above, like she's about to commit suicide, which we get foreshadowed again that is probably going to happen when the doctor ends up telling Dre after they find Keisha that they need to watch out for signs of suicide because it's highly likely that she would be so traumatized that she would try to kill herself. So Ronnie going around all these people's doors, and then the lady across the street, she was like, what, you ain't nobody finna tell your raggedy behind nothing? And then when he was like, well, the dude across the street said it was somebody over here, and she was like, oh, no, the dude across the street, he touched. I was like, what does touch mean? Like, I guess she means something wrong with him. And then he basically tells him that, you know, he doesn't have a wife, like he lives by himself. So he breaks into the house. Okay, then he started calling out Keisha's name. Then Keisha was like, I'm here. And I was like, oh my goodness, Ronnie finna find Keisha. Then that raggedy fool pulled up and I was like, oh my goodness, he finna either kill Ronnie. I don't know what's about to happen. Ronnie gets to Keisha, okay? I'm like, ooh, yes, she's saved. Now get your behinds out of there because he coming down the steps. Then he come down the steps, he hit Ronnie. Ronnie fall out. I said, Ronnie, that's all it took to make you fall out. But then, you know, Ronnie had the bar in his hand. I said, Keisha, she tried to like help him, but he threw her against the wall too. I said, Keisha, get that bar, beat the brakes off of him. She beat that man so much, I don't even know if that man alive or dead, okay? I hope he dead. I know it's wrong to hope that, but he's a pile of you-know-what, okay? So then Keisha run outside, and she do the whole stop and pause stuff, start crying, look up in the sky. I said, you know what, I'm going to let it slide this time because at least you got Ronnie there, and it seems like you might have killed him. So I said, you know what, Keisha, go ahead and have your moment. Do what you got to do. But we see they end up taking Ronnie and Keisha to the hospital. That's when Kevin gets a phone call. Then Nina and Dre are there. Everything is good. They got Keisha back. You can tell Keisha's been through a lot. Her mom's just like, I don't care what happened. You don't have to talk about it. I just glad that you're here. And we see Dre watching over them while they're sleeping. And then Kevin goes and tells Ronnie, thank you. And that's pretty much it. I think that's everything that happened. Oh, you know what? I did forget to talk about, there's a conversation. So Otis does end up confronting Jake about Reggie and says, like, Reggie is the reason Reggie's dead. Like, I had nothing to do with it. Either, you know, he had to pay for the consequences. I didn't kill him, but I see something in you. And he was like, so why are you trying to save me? He's like, because I see something in you. He's like, what, I'm going to be a crook like you? I was like, ooh, Jake, you are really trying at this episode. You were trying his patience because you were trying my patience having to listen to all of this. But I'm happy that Ronnie found Keisha. I'm happy they wrapped this up. I'll be interested to see how they deal with the trauma of what she's went through and how she really gets back to trying to attempt to get to normalcy as best as she possibly can. I'm excited to see how this will affect Ronnie now that he's kind of achieved what he said he wanted to do, that he can be proud and be the grandson that Miss Ethel always knew he could be. I'm interested to see if he's going to go to Springfield now, meet up with his friends, get a job, get his life together. I don't know what's going to happen. This episode was fine. I mean, the best part was the whole thing with Keisha and Ronnie. But I mean, there's only 3 episodes left, so I don't know what the heck is about to happen. They got to wrap this Trig storyline up with Jake and Dudai. Like, is the mirror race gonna be over this season, or are they gonna drag it out into next season? It's a lot happening, but I don't really feel like there's any resolutions necessarily happening. But I think it's a solid episode. It wasn't as great as last week's episode, but I do like that they wrapped up the Keisha storyline. Interested to see what happens with Papa and Maisha now that he helping his little boo thing. I said, I see you, Papa. But I really want to figure out what's going to happen with Jake. Is Nina still going to be okay with Dre? I know they found Keisha, but I still wouldn't be okay with Dre if I was Nina. I would still have a problem with how Dre has handled this entire situation. So I'm interested to see how their relationship is going to play out. And also, too, is Gemma daddy going to let Kevin be around her daughter now that he tried to put his little peen up inside of her? So those are pretty much my thoughts on The Chi Season 3, Episode 7. A Stain? I think it's called A Stain. Is it called A Stain? It's called A Stain. As always, my name is Sharona from Payroll Waits, and if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit the notification bell. And I love you guys 3,000. And until I see you again, I'll see you soon.